me join that lobby again. Hello again. Codemasters have made a great game. Codemasters are just divine, honestly. An incredible game that they've made that never crashes, and yeah, it's just great. There's no faults with this game. It's a faultless game with zero flaws whatsoever. Okay, we're back. Luckily no one's done their lap yet. So let's get all of this enabled. It's just everyone's going to be on soft, so I don't need to put that on. Alright, so it looks like Major Da Sola, the German, will be the first man to do a lap, so let's ride on board with him as he goes through the streets of Miami, through Sector 1, this really difficult S section. The understeer you get on this particular corner is really difficult to deal with, and the braking zone down here, you've got to slingshot yourself out onto the straight. And Major has missed the apex there, lost a little bit of time, but not too bad. Remember, it's all much more difficult when you don't have the racing line like all of these guys. We've got yellow flag, someone spun at the hairpin already, but Major breaking into that heavy braking zone and hitting the wall on entry to the next corner. That's going to cost him some time. I don't know if that's given him damage. As he goes over the curbs, you've got to really cut the curbs aggressively through there, and he's missed the apex completely there. I think he might have some damage to that front wing after that collision with the wall, because he was looking very understeery through there. The McLaren just ahead gets out of his way as he comes down to the final hairpin. Really difficult braking zone, easy to lock up there, but Major has navigated that really well, but he spun at the last corner. It's so easy to do, and he's lost his front wing. Has to get out of the way of everyone else and cut across into the pits. I don't know if that's penalizable, but I'm sure they'll cut him some slack given that he just crashed. Or maybe not. They'd be well within their rights not to give him any slack. Vardy has gotten a 5-place grid penalty. Speed Alcoholic sets the initial pace, as you'd expect, a 28.1. Where's NER Ayrton? He's still in the pits. Nath Clark is on a lap. Let's ride on board with the championship leader, the winner of the Bahrain race last time out. He looked imperious in Bahrain, Nath Clark. He was really keeping up with Ayrton. He won from 19th on the grid, if you remember. And here he is, looking to take provisional pole from Speed Alcoholic. Hi Amir, in the chat there. Good luck today. Nath Clark braking for the hairpin, and like I said, he's locked up. It's so easy to do there. He doesn't make the same mistake as Major at the final corner. Over to the line. It's a 27.3. He's absolutely destroyed Speed Alcoholic's initial pace. So we'll have to see if Speed can respond, and we'll have to keep an eye on NER Ayrton as well. Aces versus Kings. It's great to see him on track. I haven't seen him in ages. I hope he's doing well. It's good to see him out there in the Ferrari today. Trugster goes P4 for now. Racing Wheels 7 seconds down. Yeah, there's definitely some pace to be found there for the half driver. Trugster 3.8 seconds down. The grid is going to be quite spaced out, I think, with a new track and elite assist and all that. Scott goes P4, 3.5 seconds down on Nath Clark. Ted is also on a lap, as is Tia in the Red Bull. Never mind, I shouldn't have ridden on board with him. I have just cursed the man as Vans comes through to start his next lap. That was the other Haas that just went past Tier after he spun. Rick coming up to the line now. I don't know if this is a competitive lap for him. It looks like it could be. He's coming up to the line and he goes P5, 3.5 seconds off, just behind Scott in the McLaren. I have been pinged about something, I'm not sure what. So I've got to check that out. Yeah, I'm back in. It's just Scott checking if I'm back in into the lobby. Anyone else? No one else has done a lap yet. Ted is just coming around to do his lap. Tier spun earlier on. Lostock, good to see him back as well in the Aston Martin. A while since we last saw him in ESRL. I remember when he had that fantastic race in Australia where he nearly got a podium from near the back of the grid and had a drag race with, I think it was Avi, all the way to the line and just about lost out. But here he is back in ESRL. We've got a few names who didn't quite make it to last week's first race of the season who've made it today, which is great to see. A few familiar faces. Lostock through this chicane, not taking those curbs quite aggressively enough to gain enough time, so a little bit lost there for the Aston Martin. He's coming down now to the final hairpin. DRS all the way down this really long straight. We could see some overtakes here in the race as the Aston Martin comes down to the hairpin into the heavy braking zone. It looks like he got that pretty well. Yeah, he did, right on the apex. Great stuff from Lostock. Nearly loses the car like Major, but manages to save it. Avi goes into P3. Where's Lostock going to slot in? P4, just behind the Mercedes. 4/10 down, but look at this time from Nath Clark. Unchallenged by anyone at the moment. Ayrton is still in the pits, but do keep an eye on him. Major is back, the German, on track again after his spin at the final corner earlier on. As he just hits the wall on his way past it on the straight there. I don't know if that'll have given him any damage in the Alpine. Oh, it looks like it has. It's very understeery through there. I'm shocked that he didn't lose his lap to invalidation, but he has now abandoned it, it looks like. So he'll be going again. Amir as well, the Season 1 champion. You can never count this guy out. Master of consistency in that Mercedes. He knows exactly what it takes to win a championship. At the moment he is sitting... let me bring up the driver's standings. At the moment he's sitting P4, yeah, that was it. He finished P4 last time out after a spin, I think it was. Maybe some contact with someone. But I know he had a bad time and then recovered really well. So, yeah, you don't become a champion of ESRL by not taking advantage of your opportunities and recovering from your mistakes, and that is exactly what Amir does. Remember in Silverstone in Season 1, where he spun at the end of the safety car, went all the way to the back of the grid, and then did the entire race on one set of inters and won the race. It was absolutely astounding. It's probably one of the best single performances I've seen from any driver in any league, to be honest. That was simply monumental from Amir. He's just about coming across the line now. He goes into P4, slots just behind his teammate. I don't think the Mercedes are going to be challenging the top two, or, well, the top three once NER Ayrton gets on track. Vardy as well in the Red Bull is driving today. I have not seen him on track in eons. I haven't seen him in forever. So it's great to see him driving on F122. I've had my fair share of battles, including championship battles with this man, and we go back a long way, so great to see him on track, but he's invalidated that lap, so he's going to have to try again. As Vans Racing is just about starting his lap in the Haas. Must have messed up his lap earlier. Look how close the mid-grid is. We've got Scott, Rick, Trugster all within 4/10 of each other. Aces isn't too far ahead of them either. Lostock still in P5. The two Mercedes doing well as well. Ayrton is waiting for his time. He used to do this last season a lot as well. He just waited in the pits for a while, and then came out and absolutely destroyed everyone, so in one lap. So we'll see if he does that again, although that time from Nath Clark looks very hard to beat. Major is out of the session. Is that in the pits? It looks like it's in the pits. Can I see? Yeah, I think he's retired in the pit lane. I don't think he he is interested in this qualifying session. Nath Clark is just coming across. He's about half a tenth down on his previous time. Across the line comes the provisional pole sitter. He does improve by half a tenth. Speed also improved in the AlphaTauri, but it wasn't enough for provisional pole. He's now gone from 7 tenths to 2.5 tenths behind Nath Clark, so still a significant improvement from the South African, and we should see him challenging for the lead today, I would have thought. Aces into P3, by the way. When did that already happen? No, that already happened. Wow. It's just that everyone else has gone and Aces has stayed in P3, which is fantastic for the Ferrari driver. I haven't seen him on track in, I mean, months and months, and here he comes. Here he is. Goes into P3. No effort required, so great stuff from him. Vans is back in the pit, so he must have messed up his lap as well, unfortunately. Here comes Avi in the Mercedes, just about starting his lap. We've got yellow flags. I think that's just someone getting out of the way of someone on a lap. I think, who's that's just spun? Is that Aces, who's just spun at the exit of the hairpin? Or maybe he was letting drivers through, I'm not sure. But who were we riding on board with? It was Avi, wasn't it? He's 6.5 tenths up on his previous lap, so Avi looking maybe to try and challenge the top two if he can nail these final two sectors here. When he comes to the end of Sector 2, I can never tell when the end of Sector 2 is on this track. Is it further back? Oh, it's further back. I think it's just before the... No, it's just here. Okay, there we go. He's a second up on his previous best, though. So here comes Avi. Maybe there's a chance that he really screwed up the last corner on his previous lap. So this could be an opportunity for him to massively improve here. A second up on his previous best. Can he put it on the front row? Avi in the Mercedes comes across the line for a 28.2. He's 9 tenths down on Nath Clark, but that's much, much more like it from the Israeli driver. Great stuff from him. I think that was that Scott? Yeah, it was Scott and Rick both improved. Rick unable to beat the McLaren driver, who was much better on the pace this season. He is really enjoying this new game in comparison to F1 2021. Which is great to see. Much closer to the pace that I know he can be at. I've fought for a championship with this man before. He's quite the customer when it comes to a championship battle, so don't underestimate him now he's got his pace back. Got Tier, I think, improved as well. Lostock's just starting a lap. Amir is coming towards the end of Sector 1 on his lap. Will he improve? Coming across the line. Oh, wow, 5 tenths. Will he improve? And Amir, a much, much better Sector 1 from him. Can he carry that through the rest of the lap? We've got more yellow flags. Someone has spun at the end of Sector 1, it looks like. I think that might be Tier. Yeah, it's a Red Bull. It must be Tier. Because Vardy is in the pits. Not because, oh, it must be Tier. No, it's just because Vardy's in the pits and it was a Red Bull. So Amir coming down the straight now. I didn't catch... I wasn't quite looking. I reached to get my drink. I didn't quite catch if he was up on his previous best, but we'll find out as he crosses the line. Up towards the hairpin he goes. Will he lock up? Let's ride on board to find out. No, perfect braking from the Mercedes driver. The Season 1 champion comes across the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be closer to the front, and it is. Only 5 tenths off Nath Clark. That's a really good attempt from Amir. Up to P3 he goes. And keep an eye on him. But the top two on outlaps again. Their final outlaps of the session. Ayrton is still in the pit lane. Never mind, he's just about coming out. He's doing what I said. He is waiting and waiting in the pits for the whole session, and now he's going to come out and absolutely destroy everyone in one lap. Well, we'll see. Nath Clark has been very much matching him for pace, as has Speed Alcoholic last week. So we'll see. Can Ayrton just bang out a pole lap like he used to last season with no effort whatsoever, or will he be more challenged today? We'll have to find out. Womax is on a lap as well. Got quite a few people on laps. on outlaps. At least I don't know if all of them are going to make it to the line, especially that that McLaren Mercedes down there in sector 1. Womack we're keeping an eye on for now to see if he can improve. He hasn't set a time yet in the Aston Martin, so he's hoping to get his way into the top 10 as he usually is. Speed has retired from the session. I don't know what's happened there. Hang on, can we see? Where's that Ferrari? There he is. Yeah, he's just spun. How has he managed that in the middle of a straight? And that means the South African will not improve, and his position on the front row is in jeopardy now. Womack coming down the straight. DRS open for the Bulgarian. Comes down to the hairpin now. Heavy braking zone. Will he lock up? No. Perfect braking from the Aston Martin. Nath Clark's retired as well at turn 1, pushing too much, and there he won't improve. So the time to beat is a 27.3 for NER Ayrton. Womack goes P8. Good lap from him, but can Ayrton get onto the front row or onto pole position with this one lap? We're going to ride on board with the Ferrari, as both Mercedes have finished their laps. Behind. I will keep an eye on. We get a shock improvement into the top 4, but at the moment Trugster goes to P6, so good lap from him. Ayrton now coming through the second sector, this really tricky section. Down onto the back straight now, up towards the hairpin. DRS open. It looks like a purple sector 2. I'm not going to trust the game on that though, quite yet. I'm not sure if they fixed that error from F1 2021. But here he comes to the hairpin. Is Ayrton going to do what he does best? He's just going to come out and destroy everyone with one lap right at the end of the session. 25, 26, 27. No, he's not. He's way down. Ayrton in P5 behind both Mercedes. And wow, the Dane, the reigning champion, all the way down on the third row. He can't do what he used to do, which was just come out at the end of the session, bang out a lap, stick it on pole, and job done. But no, not anymore. Nath Clark, speed, and the two Mercedes pretty close together there. Womack, I'm pretty sure he's not on another lap. Rick beats him into P10, so into the top 10 goes the Dutchman, but still just behind Scott. Those two were trading positions throughout the session. Is Vardy on a lap? No, he's coming into the pit, so he'll start P18. And that is your qualifying session. What an exciting qualifying session that was. And Nath Clark takes pole position, looking to make it 2 wins from 2. After Bahrain last week. And Ayrton all the way down in P5 for the reigning champion. With his Ferrari teammate Aces just behind him on the grid. And there we go. That is qualifying. And there we go. Nath Clark takes pole position by 0.3 of a second from Speed Alcoholic in P2, both of them crashing out before they could set another lap. The two Israeli drivers in the Mercedes, Amir and Avi, 3 and 4. Ayrton on the third row on merit, P5. That is not something I'm used to saying. Aces P6, Trugster P7, followed by Lostock. Scott in a decent P9, Rick rounds out the top 10, and then Womack, Ted, Tier, Vans, Racing Wheel and Motipredets in the top 16, and Major and Vardy unable to set a meaningful lap, and they'll start at the back. Really looking forward to this one. We've got 7 people watching. Make sure you give me a like. It helps me out, and it helps out ESRL too to make these streams more visible in the algorithm. The dreaded YouTube algorithm. I was told that there is rain in the race, so we'll have to see if that comes to fruition. There are definitely some dark clouds on the horizon there, but it's looking dry to start with at least. So we'll see how it goes up. Rick, I'll take a top 10. Yeah, not a bad qualifying session for you, mate. And just behind Scott as well. Very late. It might not come at all then, if that's what it's saying. We'll see. If there's 1 or 2 safety cars, that will bring the rain into play at the end. So anyone watching, if you've got some podium predictions, do let me know for this race. I'll give you my prediction as well. Rick's gone for a wet setup, which is quite the gamble. Given that he didn't realise that the rain is only coming late in the race. Me, and me. Now that would be impressive if you could drive 3 cars at once. God, imagine that. Imagine if you had 3 wheels. But then how would you control it? You'd have to grow extra legs. Anyway, and an extra arm. We've got broadcast mode for the formation lap. I forgot about that. So hard tyres for most of the grid, it seems, to start with, which is an interesting choice. To Mercedes. Sorry, no, the Mercedes have split their strategy, as have the Ferraris. Ayrton on mediums, Aces on hards. Would like to know the location, yeah. Right, well, my prediction for the podium today, I think Speed will win the race, followed by Ayrton, followed by Amir. I'm gonna say, without cursing him, that Nath Clark is gonna make a mistake. So that's what I'm gonna say for the podium. I'd love to know your predictions in the chat as well. I do have 2 great big glasses of water. One is almost already depleted, so hopefully it should last me the race. But here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Miami Grand Prix. It's a great start from Speed in the AlphaTauri as they go up to turn 1. Down the inside goes the South African. Nath Clark tries to hold on all the way around the outside. Brilliant driving from Nath Clark and Speed. They're still side by side. I think Nath Clark is going to have it up to the next corner, but they're still side by side. Speed surely can't go around the outside here, and no, he has to settle in just behind the Williams as they go through. Let me enable all of my telemetry and everything. Sorry everyone, there we go, position change. So Ayrton already up to P3, look at that, great start from the Ferrari. As Avi down to P4, Amir all the way down to P6. Terrible start for him. We've got to keep an eye on the top 2 though, because Speed is going down the inside of Nath Clark as they come towards the hairpin at the end of the straight. No DRS yet, of course. They're still side by side. I think Nath Clark's going to have it, but Ayrton's going to try and poke his nose in as well. They're side by side. Ayrton nearly loses it, manages to save the car just about, and Speed also nearly loses it as he bumps over the curb at that chicane. But Ayrton now, it is a runaway top 3, I imagine, for the rest of this race. As Ayrton up into P3 already. Vardy gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I don't know how he managed that. We do have a yellow flag. I think that's a VSC. I can't see the safety car on track. So full course yellows. The racing is slowed down as everyone has to keep to a specified delta. But what a chaotic start to this race. Rick up 3 spots to P7. Great start for him, which is not usually how it goes for him. He will be very happy to tell you the bad luck he usually has on start. So good start for him. Ted up to P10. Scott a A poor start from the McLaren, down to P11 already. As we're back under green flag racing, so I'll switch back to the top. Speed has lost so much time under the VSC. He has really been caught out there by the Delta. Nath Clark opening a 1.7, 1.8 second gap, and now Speed is going to be under huge pressure from the reigning champion in the Ferrari, who's making up for his disappointing qualifying as he chases after Speed coming down the straight. No DRS yet, and he's not going to use any ERS either, but Speed has used quite a lot already, so Ayrton could be in with a shout here, but Avi's right behind as well. Don't count out the Mercedes. They weren't too far off in qualifying, and neither was Aces, so yeah, there's it's certainly not over yet. Amir is also being massively caught out by the VSC. Look at that, 2.6 seconds down. We've got Tier having a spin further back in Sector 1, but we've got to keep an eye on these cars as they file through towards this hairpin. But Nath Clark really taking advantage of the VSC Delta with nearly a 2-second gap to Speed. It doesn't look like it's coming down, so Nath Clark in control of this race early on. DRS now enabled, so we could see some overtakes being made. Rick is right behind Amir, by the way, just 3/10 down. I'm going to switch to tyres so we can see. That's not the one. There we go, so we can see what tyres everyone's on. Avi and Ayrton both on mediums, so that could explain Ayrton's great start. It could explain Amir's poor one, but Nath Clark and Speed both started on the hards as well, so it's not all about that. Maybe Amir has damage. He's really struggling here against Rick, because this is not what we saw in qualifying, and yeah, I'm sure he has damage. Look at that understeer that he got through there. This is a fantastic camera shot, by the way, as they come through down the straight. This DRS zone now is going to give Rick an opportunity on the Mercedes as they come down towards the left-hander. Is he going to make the move? He's going to go for it down the inside in the braking zone. It's a great move from the Dutchman. Can Amir hold on with suspected damage to the front wing? Yes, he can. Great stuff from the Season 1 champion, Ayrton. Ayrton spun. He's all the way down to P5. He's just about kept the car going. I can't see if he has damage. I've got to keep an eye on the battle behind, but I also really want to try and see if he has damage. There's no visible damage to that Ferrari. It doesn't seem like. I'll have another check in a second, but Ace is really putting Avi under pressure as well, further ahead. Avi has lost out to Speed, so Ace is going to have the DRS to try and make the move. I've got to keep an eye on so many battles here, but I really want to see this Ferrari. Does it have damage? It's difficult to tell because of the black front wing. There's no visible damage, so we'll have to see if that manifests. But he seems okay for now. So luckily got away with that spin, the Season 1 champion, but now that's 2 mistakes in 2 races. We saw 1 mistake all season last season from Ayrton, and now he's made 2 in 2 races. So he is not infallible when he's being challenged. When he's under pressure, he makes more mistakes, and we're seeing that now, spinning in the twisty, tough section of the track. He's already closing down that gap to the top 4, but that'll have shaken his confidence in his car as Lostock thinks about going for the move on Rick, but nothing as of yet. As Speed Alcoholic, by the way, when did that gap come down? He is already within a second of Nath Clark, and he's going to be trying to make the move now for the race lead. As they come down the straight towards the hairpin, Nath Clark gaining time on the straight. Now Speed's DRS starts to come into play, but I think there's a little bit of a setup difference between these two. I think Speed's car is more set up for the corners and Nath Clark's is more for the straight, so Speed could have difficulty overtaking this Williams in these next few laps despite the DRS advantage. Look, that gap's barely coming down until right at the end of the straight, and even then it's not really coming down at all, so definitely some setup differences between these two. We've got a spinner. I think that's Ted further back in the McLaren. Yes, it is, as he waits for everyone to go by before rejoining. No ghosting in ESRL either, so that's why you see cars waiting and not rejoining straight away. Speed right behind Nath Clark. He's going to have the DRS all the way down the straight, but I think where he's really going to make up time if I'm right with the setup difference, is going to be further down the track in this section coming up here as Ayrton gets past his team out. I think Aces might have let him through. Maybe some team orders there at Ferrari as the Dane is up into P4. Now let's keep an eye on speed. Is he gaining in this twisty section of track on Nathan Clark? Yes, he is. Look, he's right behind the Williams now. So definitely, not definitely, but I have very high suspicions that there is a significant setup difference between these two. I think Nathan Clark is set up for straight line speed, and speed is set up for the twisty sections of the track, which makes a very interesting duel when there's a setup difference as well. That's one thing I do like about this game. The setup differences are much more pronounced. You can still be the same pace as someone with a completely different setup philosophy, which wasn't usually the case on last year's game. But anyways, Rick right behind Lostock. The Aston Martin has gotten past the Dutchman, but he does have... neither of them have much ERS in the tank. Rick with slightly more. We've got yellow flags in Sector 2. I think that's Tia retiring from the session. Where is that? Well, wherever it is, it's caused a safety car. We have the safety car coming out now, so that has saved Avi actually from the wrath of Ayrton behind, who was catching at a rate of knots. And I think he would have made that pass pretty quickly and gone chasing after the top two. So a blessing there for Avi. I think a blessing really for the medium tyre runners in general. Are we going to see them peel into the pits for hard tyres, I wonder, and go all the way to the end? They'd have a big advantage if that's what they do. If the hards can make it, that's the key. If they can make it from here, they're going to have a big advantage. Major de Solo down in P15 there, just coming out the pits. I think Ted had a spin as well. He's gone into the pits to repair his front wing, I think. And a little bit of a breather as we do have a safety car now. I've got to watch and see if Avi comes into the pits. He does come in. What about Ayrton? Ayrton stays out. Huge decision from the Dane. He made a poor strategy decision last week. Is this another one, I wonder? He stayed out on the medium tyres. He's going to have to pit later for the hards. But could they all be vulnerable to Avi here? Because Avi's going to have those hard tyres. He's going to come out in P8, it looks like. Yeah, P8, maybe P7. Can he get past the McLaren on exit? Not quite. So P8 for Avi. On those hard tyres, he's going to be looking to take those to the end. Will they go all the way? I would have thought so. With the safety car period helping out, I think they will make it. So yeah, keep an eye on Avi here. Do keep an eye on that Mercedes. Whereas Ayrton now, he's going to be on those mediums. They're not going to last... Well, I don't know how long exactly they're going to last, but I would have thought they were okay for now. He is sitting in P3, just behind those top two who are on the hards. So maybe Ayrton thinks, right, I don't think... This is Ayrton speaking. I don't think that Avi is fast enough to take advantage of that early pit stop. And so I'm going to stay out, challenge the top two with my better tyres, try and get into the lead and build an advantage, and then pit with them and hope that my hards are good enough to stay in front. I think that might be what he's thinking. Nathan Clark's got to be really careful not to disqualify himself here. We saw this from him last season, just pulling up beside the safety car for no real reason, and yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw Tia just run straight off into a barrier. Oh, I didn't see that. I must have missed that. Or maybe Ted. Okay. Yeah, I must have missed that completely. I didn't see that at all. So, well caught, Ash. Yeah, there were definitely a couple of crashes in quick succession there. I don't think they were related, actually. I think Tia crashed at the same time that Ted did, but on different parts of the track. But we will get, I think we might get a couple more laps of safety car. Major gets himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits under the safety car, which is always a very embarrassing thing to do, especially when you're on the commentary stream. But he'll be thanking this safety car for coming out, I think, because he'll now be in a better position and hoping not to spin and crash himself out the race like he did last week, if I remember rightly. But then again, I can't talk because I just crashed under the safety car, crashed myself out of the race under the safety car about an hour ago, so maybe I shouldn't be so critical. Still some cars catching up. That's Major and Ted at the back, so I think the safety car will stay out for another lap. So we can go helmet watching, yes! Now we're talking. So, so Nath Clark sporting, I think we looked at Nath Clark last week. He's sporting a very nice light blue and green arrows at the front. It's quite a nice design from him. Speed has gotten a pure red, reminiscent of Pierre Gasly in that AlphaTauri. Ayrton's running a default helmet. Amir is... I'm not sure if that's a default helmet or not. It's difficult to tell. But it looks alright. It's white with some red markings and a little the checkered flag. But it must be a default helmet then. Rick, I think he's running some orange at the back of his helmet and then a red stripe. It's quite tasteful there in the Alfa Romeo. Trugster, just a 3-colour palette, the green, red and blue. I quite like that. Scott's running a default helmet. Avi is running that green, red and blue, but I also believe that's a default helmet. We went back, it looks like Tyr went into a barrier out of turn 7 or 8. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, it's a shame for Tyr. He's, I don't think he's really enjoying this new game as much as the previous one, unfortunately. So hopefully he can bounce back in the coming weeks. Aces running a default helmet. Lostock with an orange stripe on the otherwise black helmet. That's quite nice, actually. Racing Wheel, default helmet. Vardy running the white and red. That's the same sort of same design as mine, but some different colours. I quite like that. Oh, who's this? Amir has spun! Amir has spun under the safety car while we were looking at helmets, and he is down to P10. He's been given P9 by the game, but that is a very critical and quite embarrassing blunder, really, for the Season 1 champion. And Rick's done it as well! Oh no! Rick has followed him into the wall. Safety car in this lap. That's just what those two didn't want to see. And the Dutchman is going to have to pit as well with that front wing damage. It's a disaster for Rick. But we've got to stop helmet watching now because the safety car is in this lap. And Nath Clark is going to get us going again. But Amir and Rick just taking themselves out the race with spins under the safety car there. I mean, it's easier to do than I thought it was, as I found out an hour ago. But Nath Clark has gone for it, but he hasn't caught out speed. The South African right behind him, but unable to make the move. What about Ayrton? No, he's too far back as well as they file through. Trugster is P4, by the way. Amir and Rick. Amir is out. Amir's retired. Is that in the pit lane? I'm not sure. Where is Amir retired? Can we see his car? Here comes Womack into the pits. Is he in the pit lane? He's in the pit lane. I think he retired in the pits. He is not happy at all. And there's contact for the back. Ayrton and Speed making contact. There's more contact. And everyone piles into the side of Speed. And I think there was contact between... Ayrton's got no front wing. And this is heaven for Nath Clark. Everything is turning out his way. Both his rivals crashing. as Ayrton goes straight into the back of Speed, it seemed, lost his front wing, spun out Speed, who then got hit multiple times by drivers coming through. He is very lucky to still be in this race, actually. I really thought he was gone as soon as I saw the other driver T-bone him. But lap 10, and we've already got chaos here in the Miami Grand Prix. Speed Alcoholic, for some reason, he's trying to overtake Scott despite this complete lack of front wing. He does have to come into the pits. Trugster loses out to Ayrton on the straight, as well as Ayrton also has no front wing but is making an overtake. Into the pits goes the reigning champion, and Speed follows him in as well. Speed is not going to be happy about that, and Ayrton gets a 5-second penalty. This is what I'm talking about. He is so consistent. If he pulls away, if he can pull away, he is gone. But as soon as he's challenged, if he's under pressure, Ayrton makes mistakes. And we didn't see that from him last season because he wasn't really challenged. But now, this season, it's all going wrong for the reigning champion as Scott loses out to Lostock in an unusual position. Maybe there's front wing damage to that McLaren, I'm not sure. Ace is into P4, but Trugster now in P2. He's taken full advantage of all these crashes, as has Avi, who's up into P3. Can't stand the noise. Oh yeah, the crackly audio glitch. Yeah. It's horrible, isn't it, mate? It really is horrible. But yeah, I've sort of gotten used to it, really. In the last few races, I've just accepted the fate that they're not going to fix it anytime soon. Hopefully they do fix it soon, though, because it is unbearable. I do agree. Aces right behind Avi, but look at this. Speed Alcoholic in P12, NER Ayrton in P13, and we're nearly halfway through the race. This is astonishing. It was a crash between the two of them as well. It's not like they didn't make mistakes. At least I don't think Speed made a mistake. It didn't seem like it. It just seemed like Ayrton misjudged the braking zone and went straight into the back of the AlphaTauri. Maybe it was a oversteer moment from Speed and Ayrton couldn't avoid him, because I didn't quite catch it. But yeah, wow, I mean, Ayrton 5-second penalty, you don't see that. Ayrton crashing with another driver, you don't see that either. He is having a woeful start to Season 3 of ESRL. And Nath Clark is having a dream start. He's 6 seconds clear of Trugster. Both his championship rivals at the back of the grid. And this man now is looking to take a huge lead into the next race of the season. Aces trying to make the move on Avi and does so down the inside into the hairpin. Great stuff from the Ferrari. Avi unable to defend. Aces on those medium tyres, so he is going to be in a better position for now in terms of tyre life. But if he's trying to take those to the end, he is going to struggle. Although if anyone can do it, it is this man. He is a bit of a tyre whisperer, a bit like Speed Alcoholic, so keep an eye on him. As he now goes after Trugster to try and take P2, as Trugster makes a mistake, goes too far over the curb at the hairpin, and Aces right behind the AlphaTauri. He's going to have the DRS, he's going to use that overtake button as well. Down the inside goes Aces into turn 1. Trugster has nothing to say to that, and the Ferrari up into P2, making the most of the carnage up ahead of him, and trying to get some points on the board for Ferrari. Trugster's going to follow him through. We've got more yellow flags. That's Vardy, who's had a spin at turn 2, it seems. As Trugster, yeah, he's not given up. Yeah, look at this. He's right on the back of that Ferrari. Gets a great exit. Slingshots himself onto this main straight. And he's got the DRS, but he has no ERS left. Look at that battery, 8% compared to Ace's 16%. As soon as you go down below 10%, there's a massive power disadvantage. So Trugster sort of taking himself out of that battle with no ERS left. We've also got Avi trying to get through. He's got 60% left, so he's perfectly fine. And he could be challenging for a podium today. Ayrton gets himself a time penalty as well for track limits. I mean, you just don't see this at all. Under pressure, he is really biting the bullet, Ayrton. It's been a horrible start to the season for him. And he's just caving under the pressure of being challenged this season. It's astounding. Vardy should let him through here, I think. Oh, as Major goes for a spin, just as I ride on board with him, as Vardy has a little bit of contact with Ayrton, as the Ferrari desperately tries to make his way through and back up the grid. Speed is up to P10. Let's have a quick look at penalties. Speed also with a 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. But Ayrton with those 8 seconds. We've got Lostock and Trugster swapping positions. I'm not sure what happened to Trugster. He's really lost out. Must have made a mistake somewhere down the line, as my game has crashed again. Okay, this game is